I want to show you something. It's going to sound like a religious thing at first. Stick with me, because it's not. Well, it is, but it's also something else entirely. Someone figured out how anxiety works 2,000 years before neuroscience existed to prove it. And what they said is sitting in one of the most read books in human history. We just never read it right. Here's where we actually are right now. 301 million people on this planet have a diagnosed anxiety disorder. Not, I get nervous sometimes. Clinically diagnosed. 301 million. 40% of Gen Z say they feel anxious or stressed most or all of the time. That's not a small study. That's Deloitte surveying 23,000 people across 44 countries. And 94% of Gen Z report mental health struggles every single month. 94%. That's basically everyone. Now here's the part that actually gets me. We have more therapy options than any generation before us. More medication, more wellness apps, more content about mental health than has ever existed in human history. And yet 43% of American adults felt more anxious in 2024 than they did in 2023. More tools, more anxiety. Something isn't adding up. What if one of the most useful things ever said about anxiety has been sitting right in front of us the whole time, and we just never read it properly? Matthew chapter 6, verses 25 through 34. If you grew up in church, I need you to do something for the next few minutes. Forget everything you think you know about this passage. Seriously, set it down. Because it's almost definitely been taught to you as a faith lesson. It's not just a faith lesson. And if you've never opened a Bible in your life, honestly, that's fine. You're coming to this clean. That might actually be better. Because what Jesus says in these 10 verses is not stop worrying because everything will be okay. It's not just have more faith. When you read it carefully, slowly, what it actually is a 3-part framework for interrupting anxiety that modern neuroscience is only now catching up to. Let me show you what I mean. He opens in verse 25. Do not be anxious about your life, what you will eat, what you will drink, what you will wear. Notice what he's pointing at, not anxiety about something happening right now, anxiety about the future, food you don't have yet, problems that haven't happened yet, needs that aren't unmet yet. That is the clinical definition of generalized anxiety. Future-focused threat projection. The brain generating fear responses about things that haven't occurred and might never occur. He named it in one sentence. And then, here's the part most people completely miss. He doesn't say stop worrying. He says look at the birds. He redirects attention to something present, observable, real, happening right now, not in some imagined future. That specific move is going to make a lot more sense in a few minutes. Then verse 27. Which of you by being anxious can add a single hour to his life? People read that as comfort, a reassurance. It's not. It's a challenge to your brain. Is this anxiety producing anything? Is it solving anything? Is it changing anything? Because if the honest answer is no, and it almost always is, then something in the loop has to reckon with that. Therapists have a name for this technique. We'll get there. And then verse 34. This is my favorite line in the whole thing. Do not be anxious about tomorrow, for tomorrow will be anxious for itself. Sufficient for the day is its own trouble. Read that again slowly. He's not saying your problems aren't real. He's not saying pretend everything is fine. He's saying you are spending energy right now, today, on a problem that belongs to tomorrow. And that's leaving you less equipped for both. Deal with today. Tomorrow gets tomorrow. That is not a devotional thought. That is a resource management instruction for your brain. And here's exactly why it works. Okay, 3 things. Stay with me. These are actually kind of mind-blowing. Number 1, your brain has a wandering problem. There's a system in your brain called the default mode network. It's basically what your brain does when it doesn't have anything specific to focus on. And what does it do when it wanders? It goes looking for problems. Not because you're broken, not because you're weak, because that's what our human nature and sin has brought us. And researchers have found that this network is hyperactive in people who experience anxiety. It cannot turn off. Now go back to what Jesus said. Look at the birds. Focus on today. Anchor yourself to what's real right now. Every single instruction in Matthew 6 is a default mode network interrupt. Pull the brain out of future simulation and into present reality. He described the exact problem and the exact solution. Number 2, your brain can't tell the difference between real and imagined. Your amygdala is your brain's alarm system. It detects threats and sounds the alarm. Heart rate up, cortisol released, body on high alert. Here's the thing though, it responds to real threats and imagined threats exactly the same way. Which means when you're lying in bed at midnight running through a conversation that hasn't happened yet, or a bill that isn't due yet, or a problem that might not even materialize, your body responds like it's happening right now, in this room. Cortisol spike, heart rate up, muscles tight, full alarm for something that doesn't exist yet. That's chronic anxiety at the neurological level. Your body stuck in threat mode for threats your brain invented. Jesus amazingly says, do not be anxious about tomorrow. As simple as it sounds, if you are not thinking about tomorrow's threat, your amygdala cannot respond to it. You literally cannot activate a biological fear response to a scenario you aren't running in your head. That's not naive. That's precise. Number 3, anxiety shuts down the part of your brain you actually need. When anxiety spikes, when the alarm goes off, it partially takes your prefrontal cortex offline. Your prefrontal cortex is your rational brain, your problem-solving brain. The part that thinks clearly, makes good decisions, figures things out. Chronic anxiety literally impairs the exact cognitive function you need most to deal with whatever you're anxious about. Here's what's interesting though. Researchers have found that when you name your worry, speak it out loud, write it down, bring it into conscious examination, you re-engage the rational brain. After this, we can always give it to God. In verse 27, Jesus challenges his audience to a simple question. Can your anxiety add a single hour to your life? He's not being dismissive. He's forcing conscious evaluation of an unconscious loop. And when the rational brain examines the loop and concludes, the loop weakens. One of the most clinically proven treatments for anxiety disorders in existence, built almost entirely on this principle. Identify the thought, evaluate it, challenge it, redirect it to God. Even more impressive, Jesus knew this in 30 AD. Okay, so here's what you actually do with this. 3 moves, straight from the text. Move 1, get present. When anxiety spikes, your brain needs something real to hold on to right now. Jesus said, look at the birds. In 2026, that looks like step outside, feel the air on your skin, name 5 things you can physically see right now. Hold something in your hands, drink water slowly and actually taste it. This isn't a distraction technique, it's a neurological anchor. You're pulling your brain out of future simulation and giving it something present to attend to. It works because it's biologically accurate, not because it sounds peaceful. Move 2, ask the question. When an anxious thought shows up, and they will keep showing up, ask it this out loud. Is this thought producing anything useful right now? Out loud matters. Vocalizing it engages different parts of the brain than just thinking it internally. It forces your rational brain back online. Most anxious thoughts fail this question immediately. They're not solving anything. They're just replaying. When they fail the question, their grip loosens, not completely, but enough to breathe. Move 3, draw the line and slash or give it to God. When a tomorrow thought arrives, and your brain will absolutely keep sending them. Acknowledge it. Write it down if you need to, and then say, that is a tomorrow problem. Today, I'm dealing with today. You're not pretending it doesn't exist. You're making an accurate decision about where your energy goes, because your brain cannot solve next month's problem today, but it can absolutely ruin today trying. Sufficient for the day is its own trouble. 2,000 years ago, Jesus said this. Still the most accurate thing I've read about anxiety this year. Here's what I keep coming back to. We are the most informed generation on mental health that has ever existed. We have the language, the resources, the awareness, the tools, the God, and we are also the most anxious generation ever documented. A carpenter from Galilee sat down on a hillside and mapped out the anxiety loop with more accuracy than most things written about it today, and then gave 3 specific practical ways to interrupt it. We filed it under religion and moved on. I'm not here to tell you what to believe about who he was. I'm just saying, what he said works. And we now have the science to back up some of the reason why. If this landed for you, share it with one person who needs it. Not because it's a video, because it might actually help them. And on Sunday, we will take this somewhere completely different. What would it actually feel like to sit with Jesus and talk about your anxiety? Not in a church, not a sermon, just a real conversation. That's on the channel. Subscribe, go check it out. Thank you for listening.